食事行為。
The line that you have right here is a combination of glaze capsule and Girota's fascia, so you're going to be looking for free fluid within here. Remember, the perinephric fat is going to be your defining border between fluid in the retroperitoneal space and fluid in the peritoneal space, and we'll go through this in future slides. So if you're doing the perihepatic window, identify the diaphragm. Fluid collections above that are going to be within the chest. Fluid collections below it are going to be in the abdominal region, or the abdominal cavity. Look for the perinephric fat. This is going to help you differentiate intraperitoneal from retroperitoneal fluid collection. And take a look at the valve. See how the fluid interacts with it. This will also determine the presence of free intraperitoneal fluid collection versus fluid contained, let's say, within the valve. Here's an example of a positive right upper quadrant window. So head, foot, lateral, medial. Here's the liver. Here's the kidney. Through capsule of the kidney, perinephric fat. So here you're going to have Girota's fascia, and then this is going to be Glissen's capsule here surrounding the liver. So this is all hemoperitoneum in between there. You can see it has a nice triangular shape here. There's no wall around it, and it's following along the course of the liver here and interacting with valve over here. Here's why I advocate sweeping the transducer in the right upper quadrant. Let's say you put the transducer on and boom, this is the image that you get. Liver, kidney, perinephric fat, no free fluid. You can move on to the next window. However, by just sweeping the transducer and angling it a little bit, we go from negative to positive. So here's liver, free fluid, which is hemoperitoneum in this case, perinephric fat, and here's kidney. Now, in a potentially stable patient at a level of trauma center with full resources around you, who's going to get a CT anyway, the detection of the small amount of fluid may have had no clinical bearing. However, if you're at a non-trauma center where the detection of any hemoperitoneum means transferring the patient, or if you're in a disaster setting where you've got multiple people you're trying to triage, recognizing the presence of hemoperitoneum can help you in better triaging this patient. In this image here, you've got a patient who has both hemoperitoneum as well as hemoretroperitoneum. Again, you can see here's the liver, here's the kidney. So there's fluid collection here and fluid collection here. So now you've got to look at boundaries to decide where this fluid collection is. You can see that this fluid collection butts up against the liver, and it is on the opposite side of the perinephric fat. You can see that this fluid collection here is intimate with the perinephric fat and it butts up against the kidney. So this fluid collection is within the retroperitoneal space. This fluid collection here is in the peritoneal cavity. This is a patient who had a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm and had both hemoperitoneum and hemoretroperitoneum. Well, on a primary goal of the EFAST exam, it's possible that you may be able to detect solid organ injuries. And here you can see a patient on this perihepatic window. You've got the liver and the kidney here. The parenchyma should have, under normal circumstances, a nice homogeneous appearance. Here you can see that the liver has an area that is hyperechoic with irregular borders. This is a patient with a hematoma to the liver. Liver parenchymal injuries will have a tendency to be hyperechoic. The sensitivity for the detection of solid organ injuries with ultrasound is very low. So if you don't see it, you haven't ruled it out. But if you do see it, this again may be helpful since it's not uncommon for solid organ injuries to not be associated with hemoperitoneum. Here you can see in this patient that there is no associated hemoperitoneum, but the significance of being able to rapidly diagnose a parenchymal injury is clearly there. What are the pitfalls of the perihepatic window? First, it could be potentially hemothorax. It could be hemoretroperitoneum, as we've already discussed. It could be fluid within valve, or it could be contained fluid collection such as a renal cyst. So anything that's going to provide you with an anechoic or hypoechoic space could be confused as a free fluid collection. So take a look at this case right here. Does this patient have hemoperitoneum? So we can take a look. Here's the liver. Here's the kidney. We can see that there is a stripe here between the liver and the kidney. But now the question is it in the peritoneal space or is it somewhere else, such as the retroperitoneal space? If we take a look, we can try and define boundaries. Here we've got perinephric fat here.
タイプの方は、サスペンションじゃないですけど、2年ぐらい休止的な感じでやってるんですね。で、それで、マイナーリーグでプレーしてたんですけど、
Now we can see an anechoic area that has nice triangular shapes that's interacting with the bowel. So this is hemoperitoneum. And the area that we're seeing up here, this is the liver itself right here. This is all clotted blood surrounding the liver here. This was a patient who had massive hemoperitoneum and ultimately died. Let's now look at how to perform the pelvic window. Let's first take a look at the male patient. I'm only going to be looking at the sagittal pelvic window because I think this is the easiest way in order to determine free fluid in the pelvis. I think transverse images can be confusing. So to perform this window, indicator is going to be directed in cephalad direction towards the patient's head. You're going to be just cephalad to the pubic symphysis. So your image is going to be anterior, posterior, head, foot. If the urinary bladder is full, you'll have a nice sonographic window. And you can see here is the peritoneal cavity. Here is going to be the cul-de-sac. This is the anechoic or hypoechoic area here, posterior to the bladder, the seminal vesicles. And this area here is the prostate. So you're going to be looking in this area here. And frequently it's going to be limited or indeterminate. In the female patient, again, we'll look at the sagittal window. Indicator is directed towards the patient's head. So anterior, posterior, head, foot. If the urinary bladder is full, you'll see it up in here. Here you can see the uterus, and this is going to be the posterior cul-de-sac. Up in here will be the anterior cul-de-sac. Using sagittal CT images, you can see how a positive image is going to appear. Here you've got a male, so you've got the indicator towards the patient's head. Here's the urinary bladder. Back here will be prostate, the seminal vesicles. And here you can see the free fluid. Here's the bowel right here, and this butts up against the bladder and goes into the cul-de-sac. On this female patient, the urinary bladder is not full, but you can see here's the outline of the uterus, and here you can see a large amount of fluid displacing the bowel. Okay? And you can see that there's the fluid in the posterior cul-de-sac extending into the anterior cul-de-sac. So graphically in the male, this is what it's going to look like. Here you've got anterior, posterior, head, and foot. You've got the urinary bladder. You know that this is urinary bladder here because it's got a nice round or oval shape to it and a well-defined wall. Prostate, the seminal vesicles, and this is all free fluid here. And you can see how it's got the triangular corners attached to the wall and how it directly interacts with the bowel. So this was a patient who had a splenic laceration and had a large amount of fluid down in the pelvis. It's a female patient with a large amount of free fluid in the pelvis. Again, looking at the sagittal image, you can see here is the urinary bladder. You know this is a urinary bladder because it's got the extent wall surrounding it. It's got a well-defined rounded or oval shape to it. However, here you can see the uterus, and down here in the posterior cul-de-sac, you can see the presence of free fluid coming over the top into the anterior cul-de-sac, and then displacing bowel gas and directly interacting with it. You can see the sharp triangular corners. So this was a patient who also had a splenic laceration and had a large amount of free fluid in the pelvis. Beware of clotted blood in the pelvis. This is an exam you're going to do looking for ruptured ectopics also, and it's very easy to look past clotted fluid trying to find anechoic fluid, and you're missing the very large complex fluid collections. So here's a patient that had a ruptured ectopic, and if you look here, you've got a couple anechoic areas here. So the question is, which one's the urinary bladder? This is actually the urinary bladder here. You've got the echogenic wall surrounding it here. It's got a nice contained shape to it. You can look at this one at first and say, boy, this has got to be the urinary bladder. But if you look, there's no wall up in here, and you can see how it's interacting with the surrounding structures. This is actually clotted blood in the anterior cul-de-sac, and this is all clotted blood posteriorly. So in females, it's particularly important to see these heterogeneous and complex areas, define the boundaries of the uterus, and that can then help you to decide what's surrounding it. And if you take a look at this clip here, you can see that was uterus. This is all free fluid here, clotted fluid. This is anechoic free fluid. And up in here is all just clotted blood. But this can be potentially easy to miss if all you're looking for is something black. In young females, you always got to consider that the free fluid you're going to see is physiologic. For it to be physiologic, it needs to be anechoic, and it'd be very unlikely that the only place on the academic you're going to detect hemorrhage would be in the cul-de-sac. Usually people are females that will have hepatic or splenic sources of hemorrhage will have some evidence of hemorrhage above the mesocolon, meaning that you would see it in the perisplenic or more likely the perihepatic window. But just keep in mind that very small amounts of anechoic fluid could be physiologic in young females. So if the patient has hemoperitoneum, take a look. This is a male patient. We'll take a look through the sweeps here. Now we start off, we try to find the urinary bladder. So this right here is the urinary bladder. It's got a wall and it's got a contained shape. So you can see here's the prostate, here are the seminal vesicles. So this here is the peritoneal cavity. So you're really not seeing any bowel right there. But what you're seeing is a lot of echogenic fluid. There are some anechoic areas mixed in there. And you can see that there's nice sharp triangular corners. There's no wall surrounding it. And you can see that there's bowel moving up here that the fluid is interacting with. This is a patient who had a great box splenic lack of massive hemoperitoneum, and this is a large amount of complex fluid down in the pelvis. Here's a female patient who has a liver laceration. If you take a look at this window here, the first thing you want to do is to define things that you recognize. So here is what appears to be the uterus. There's the myometrium. Here's the endometrium. So you follow the border here. Now it seems anteriorly there's an anechoic area here, so you would think maybe this is the urinary bladder. But there's no wall abutting up against this side, and you can see that this anechoic area extends along here and over in here, and you can see that there's nice sharp triangular corners as this Well, it turns out to be a large fluid collection of butts with the bowel. So this was a patient who had a very large amount of complex fluid down in the pelvis, and what originally could have been construed to be the bladder is actually not the urinary bladder, it's down in here. So this is all free fluid, and there's bowel up in there. And we're down to the slide window. This is going to be obtained by placing the transducer between the 8th and 11th wrist with the indicator directed towards the patient's axilla, meaning in a cephalad direction. You want to be in the intercostal space. So the spleen provides the smallest photographic window. You're going to have to stay closer to the posterior axillary line. Using CT scans, here you can see what the image is going to look like. You get your transducer here, intercostally oblique indicator up this way, and you're going to be shooting in to the intercostal space. Here's the spleen, here's the kidney, here's the splenomeal fossa, and here's the important subdiaphragmatic area that you need to see. If you take a look here, using the axial cut, you can see how you're going to be cutting through the spleen to obtain this window. But you want to be careful of this not being too far back and then angling anteriorly. You're going to bring the stomach into view, which could be confusing since frequently these patients have full stomachs, which could pose a diagnostic dilemma in terms of the presence or absence of free fluid. So your first blood window, indicator towards the head, you're cutting through an intercostal oblique plane, so lateral, medial, head, foot, diaphragm, which is going to be a big landmark here. You got your spleen here, your kidney here, splenomeal fossa, and here's the all-important subdiaphragmatic area. Here's the CT axial cut of the patient who had a very full stomach. And notice that if you're too far posteriorly, you're going to bring the stomach into there, and this is going to then potentially give you visualization of a fluid collection that could potentially be overcalled and diagnosed as hemoperineum. And here's a patient with a very full stomach on this perisplenic window. If you look, you can see spleen, kidney, there's nothing in splenomeal fossa, nothing extending this way. But here you see this hypoechoic area that's very large, and it's very easy to want to call that a free fluid collection. However, if you take a closer look at it, you can see that there's some reverberation artifacts in there from air. You can see that there's a well-defined wall surrounding it. And if we look at it in a transverse plane here, you can see here's spleen, here's kidney, and here is the large fluid collection which represents fluid in the stomach. Remember, you want to see the subdiaphragmatic space, and this is frequently where fluid is going to be. But depending on the patient's anatomy and the transducer you're using, it can be difficult to get a window into there. So remember, anything that's close to the diaphragm is either helped or hindered by respiration. Here's an area where taking in a deep breath is usually going to end up hurting you. You're going to usually get your best window when the patient's in exhalation. It's called the curtain effect here, because watch as the patient takes in a deep breath. Air comes over the top, and basically it shows over. This is the air curtain that you have right here. So usually in these patients, you're going to be better off with an exhalation. So keep your hand on the freeze button so that you can cycle through their respiratory cycle and attain the best image possible. So here's the patient with hemoperineum. Here's the diaphragm here. Here's the spleen. There's an anechoic area in between the diaphragm and the spleen, and this is hemoperineum. You can see some air coming over the top of the costophrenic angle intermittently interfering with visualization. But you can see here is some fluid, or a moderate amount of fluid in the subphrenic space, so make sure you can visualize this area when performing the perisplenic window. Here's a large fluid collection. Here you've got diaphragm here. Here's a very large anechoic area. This is spleen. This is kidney. This is a patient with a massive amount of hemoperineum. Anything that would be on this side of the diaphragm would represent the pleural space or hemothorax. This is all intraperitoneal here. You can see some fluid here in the splenomeal fossa. You can also intermittently see fluid appearing within the stomach as the transducer is angled anteriorly, but this is all hemoperineum here. Here's a patient who has a left-sided hemothorax. There's no evidence of any intraperitoneal fluid, but you can see here's spleen, here's diaphragm, but this fluid collection is on the cephalad side of the diaphragm. You can see lung abutting up against the fluid here. You can see it down here in the costophrenic angle. And ultrasound is highly sensitive for the detection of pleural fluid collections. It can detect as little as 20 cc's of fluid, so it's a highly sensitive test. But when you're in the left upper quadrant, make sure that you visualize the diaphragm and don't misdiagnose a hemothorax as hemoperineum. Here's a patient that has a large subcapsular hematoma. You can see spleen here, and you can see this complex echogenic area surrounding the spleen. And this is all layered subcapsular hematoma. So there's parenchyma of the spleen, and this is all subcapsular hematoma, and probably some parenchymal injury mixed in. It's really hard to define the border on these, but recognizing this is a grossly heterogeneous or abnormal appearance is what's going to help you out at most of the beginning on these. Here's when you look at it and ask yourself, does this patient have hemoperineum? You get yourself into the window where you can recognize the structures that you're trying to find. And here's spleen, here's kidney. I'm really not getting a good look at the diaphragm, but I don't definitively see anything at this point in the splenomeal fossa, but you're going to continue to look. Now all of a sudden you can see that there is something starting to appear in here, and you can see that it follows along the spleen. There's no wall around it. It extends down this way. So this patient does have hemoperineum. You're going to have a hard time really getting a good look at the subphrenic space, but something that should stand out is that just like with the liver, the parenchyma under normal circumstances should have a nice homogeneous appearance. The spleen has a very heterogeneous appearance, and splenic injuries can range from type 1 to type 4 to type 1 irritability to type 1 hemoperineum. This should help you in terms of triaging and understanding what potential could go wrong with this patient. Here's the patient looking for the fluid window. First thing you want to define the thing that you recognize. Here's the diaphragm here, and here's the echogenic space here. Now you try to find the spleen. If you look, there's this area right here, and then there's the area that appears to be more gelatinous, and that means it's moving. Let's see if we can play again. And you can see the moving there. This is all clotted blood on top of the spleen, and there's a vast amount of hemoperineum here. Patient with grade 4 splenic injury. So what are the real clinical utilities of the VAST exam when you're looking for hemoperineum and hemopericardium? From a cardiac standpoint, operative management is going to be recommended if hemopericardium is detected, regardless of stability. These are people who will deteriorate very rapidly. So regardless of the size of the fluid collection or the hemodynamic, these are people who need emergent operative intervention. Does the negative pericardial window rule out a cardiac injury? No. There's no definitive literature on what to do with those patients, but at a minimum, a serial exam is going to be warranted. How long that serial exam examination period would need to be is unknown. From the abdominal standpoint, operative management is going to be recommended if you've got a moderate amount of hemoperineum and the patient's hemodynamically unstable. Hemoperineum in a stable patient, it's clearly recommended in the literature that these people undergo CT scanning to further define the injuries. How you and or liver injuries had no hemoperineum on the initial CAT scan. So being able to detect these solid organ injuries is very important. You will also miss hospital injuries when performing the FAST exam. So this should never be a test used to screen people out of ED. Let's now look at how we can use the FAST exam for the detection of a pneumothorax. Although most physicians in this country will use a linear transducer for the detection of a pneumothorax, you can use a curvilinear or phased array transducer, so any of these will be usable for this study. This exam can be performed patient in a position, but in most critical patients, the exam will be performed with the patient in T9 position. Using the size classification, I will show zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 in the supine patient is going to be the mostly anterior cavity. Zone 2 is going to be the part of the thoracic cavity that extends from the mid-axillary line back to the posterior axillary line. We're not going to be discussing zone 3 in this examination. And sonographically, what you're going to see is a sagittal exam with the indicator directed towards the patient's head. You've got the subcutaneous tissue here, pectoralis muscle. You always want to identify the ribs. That way you don't confuse a fascial line for the pleural line. And here you can see the pleural line here, and you can see the lung sliding back and forth, and you can see intermittent comet tails or ring downs emanating from the pleural line. Let's look now at the sonographic findings. Using the sagittal CT into the chest, you can see here's the transducer and a sagittal plane indicator towards the head, scanning through the subcutaneous tissue, here are ribs, and here's the pleural line. Here you can see that this is anterior, posterior, head and foot, subcutaneous tissue, rib, and then there is the hyperechoic pleural line. When evaluating for the patient for pneumothorax, you're really focusing on this pleural line. The primary thing you're looking for is the presence or absence of lung sliding. If you see lung sliding at this level, you can definitively rule out a pneumothorax at that level. The presence of D-lines or common tail or ring downs are a secondary finding, but the main thing you're looking for is going to be the presence or absence of lung sliding. Now, of course, remember, you're not attempting to quantify the amount of lung sliding present. All you're really doing is looking for the impact on is there or isn't there lung sliding. So there's going to be different degrees of lung sliding in patients with ventricular stroke versus the patient who is hyperventilating. So you need to keep that in mind. Again, do not confuse lung sliding with recurrent cardiac pulsation. There was an image I have taken of myself during breath holding, and you can see that there is some movement back and forth, but this is due to recurrent cardiac pulsation and not lung sliding due to respiratory phase. How can we document lung sliding on a still image? You can use M-mode or you can use dot mode. Here's an example here of two M-mode images. One is in a normal lung and one is in the pneumothorax. If you look here in the normal lung, what you can see is there's a nice solid line here represented in what you can see on, let's say, a barcode, and this is the subcutaneous tissue where there is no movement occurring during respiration. However, when you look into the pleura, you can see that there's this gritty or sand-like appearance. The elliptic sign refers to this as the sandy beach sign or the seashore sign. This grainy appearance is due to the movement back and forth, and that can be used to confirm that, yes, there was movement present. And since you don't see that same grittiness here or graininess in the subcutaneous tissue, you know that wasn't due to motion artifact. Now, if you look here again, you can see solid lines here in the subcutaneous tissue, but now looking deep beyond the pleura, you can see that these lines have, again, a barcode type appearance, and that's due to the absence of lung sliding. So this is the way that you can confirm that motion was present or absent on a static image. So lung sliding only going to be caused by a pneumothorax. There's many reasons why you could have absent lung sliding. It could be due to pneumothorax, it could be due to apnea, atelectasis, atrial fibrosis, or incorrect machine settings. Can lung sliding be detected over pulmonary blebs? And the answer is absolutely. There have been several small studies that have looked at this. And here's an example of a patient with a large bleb. There's a question on the chest x-ray of this patient with respiratory distress as to whether or not there was a pneumothorax. A CT was recommended by radiology. Taking a look at the area directly over the pulmonary bleb, you can clearly see that there's lung sliding. You can see horizontal movement back and forth of the pleura. You can see some intermittent comet tail or ring downs, but this was a patient who did not have a pneumothorax, and ultrasound was clearly helpful here. The pneumothorax is basically an air-only process at the pleural line, so you're going to have access of lung sliding and a predominance of A-lines, which are reverberation artifacts that occur from the distance from the soft tissue to the pleural line, and you can see those here. But taking a look at the pleural line, which you can clearly see is below the rib here, my transducer is moving, but there is no movement back and forth during respiration on this patient. Just remember, absent lung sliding does not definitively diagnose a pneumothorax. In the right clinical context, it's highly suspicious for the diagnosis. So that leads to the question, is there a way that ultrasound could be used to definitively diagnose a pneumothorax? And the answer is yes. At one point, it's a definitive sonographic finding of a pneumothorax. And here we've got a sagittal view here. Here's the rib. What you can see is that there's lung sliding with intermittent comet tails coming up posteriorly that extend up to about this point with respiration. However, from this side over, there's absolutely no lung sliding. So this is sonographic evidence where the post-visceral and parietal layers of the pleura meet the pneumothorax. You would only see a lung point in someone who has a less than complete pneumothorax. Here's what it looks like when compared with a sagittal recon on CT. Here's the transducer here, indicators towards the head. You can see here, you've got a post-visceral parietal layer of the pleura, and here you can see where the start of the pneumothorax is. This is your patient. This is the most anterior part of the thoracic cavity. This is where you expect to air the And here's what you're seeing here. This matches what you're seeing on the CT scan. You've got the pneumothorax here, and this is how it matches up against this CT scan. So be careful when you're scanning by the border of the lung. This looks like a lung slide or a lung point here, and you've got lung sliding that stops right about this point right here. And you can see that there is something that's moving right here. It has a different echogenicity at this point right here. And it's difficult to see in a linear transducer because the focus area of visualization. If you look at the same area with a phased array transducer, you can see that this is not a lung point, but we're down low by the border of the lung, and this is diaphragm here, and this is liver here. So this would be called a liver point, which is a pseudo-lung point, so be careful when you're by the periphery of the lung. Other things that could cause a pseudo-lung point would be, in addition to the liver point, a spleen point, meaning that you're on the left side and you're down very low near the diaphragm, or a heart point where you're too close to the border of the heart immediately. So how sensitive is ultrasound? The answer is highly sensitive. If you look at some of the studies that are out there, the sensitivity and specificity is in the upper 90s, which rivals CT scan. Here was a patient that we had scanned prior to obtaining the CT scan, and what we noticed on this patient is that you've got lung sliding here to about this point, you've got lung sliding here to about this point, but in the central region, you have an absence of lung sliding. So you've got here a double lung point. So this is a patient who had a very tiny pneumothorax, and this is what we found on the CT, that this was only seen on one cut, and this is what we're looking at right here. So the bottom line is, if you can scan over the area and see the pleura, you have the ability to diagnose the tiniest of pneumothoraces. This means that this is a test that you've got to use in the context of your clinical exam. Not everybody who has evidence of a pneumothorax and ultrasound is going to need a chest tube. The same thing applies to the CT scan. Not everyone who has CT evidence of a pneumothorax is going to need a chest tube. So let me show you how powerful ultrasound is. Here are the patients who had a chest tube placed for a pneumothorax, and as we were reinflating the lung, we were doing some real-time assessment, and what you can see is this patient was upright, and you can see, as the lung was being re-expanded, you could follow real-time the presence of lung sliding, and we were able to follow this all the way up to the apex. So this shows you how powerful and sensitive this test is for determining the presence or absence of a pneumothorax. Ultimately, this test should be of great clinical use to you. You want it to be more than just a nice toy to say, boy, there's a pneumothorax present, but I don't know what to do with it. So as you become more proficient with this thoracic exam, you want to make sure that you can develop the skills necessary to estimate size. So the more of these exams you do and the better you become at them, what you're going to want to do is scan in more slices in zone 1 and zone 2, and then in your own mind recreate where sliding was present and where it wasn't, and you're going to be able to then have a better 3D image of the size of that pneumothorax. In one of Lichtenstein's studies, he found that in a supine patient who only had sonographic evidence of a pneumothorax, meaning a lung point anteriorly, which is the most anterior part of the chest in the supine patient, these pneumothoraces are small and did not always need surgical intervention. However, in the supine patient, having sonographic evidence of a lung point in zone 2 or the dependent area meant that this was a moderate to large pneumothorax, and in these patients, greater than 90% of them, they ultimately needed surgical intervention. So go past being able to just say yes or no. Try and use this in a useful fashion. Since this is a highly sensitive test, make sure that you can get an idea of size estimation, so this test will be of utility for you.
行くべきだったかな。
gentle transducer pressure in order to displace the bowel gas so we don't lose visualization of the aorta in this region. Even though you can't directly visualize the takeoff points of the renal arteries on a sagittal image, you can have an idea if you measure about 2 centimeters from the takeoff point of the SMA and go in a caudal direction. In approximately 98% of patients, the takeoff of the renal vessels will be within 10 centimeters of the SMA. And this is important clinically for the vascular surgeons, since the surgical approach for a suprarenal versus an infrarenal AAA is going to be different. This is the aorta, here's the cerebral body back here, and so this is the SMD and the SMA. So it's important to make sure you give yourself enough field of depth. You can always gain your way if you give yourself too much depth, but you don't want to be in a situation, as you were in the original part of the video, where we don't have any good reference points for adjacent structures to confirm that this is the anterior cava and this is the aorta. Okay, because with the distal aorta, remember, the aorta is going to become more superficial. You're not going to have a liver, and some of the windows you're going to have to use transducer pressure to displace down gas. Here you can see anterior cava, aorta, and you can see the vertebral body. So you're going to keep following this down until you reach bifurcation, which you can see right here. And here you've got the right and the left iliac arteries. And that usually occurs at about the level of the umbilicus. And here's just a detailed look at the bifurcation. You can see the iliac's coming off. Here you've got the distal aorta. Now you've got the right and the left iliac vessels. And this is all about the level of the umbilicus. Okay, so let's put together the whole transverse exam. You start up high in the subxiphoid space, indicator patient's right, and you're just going to follow the vessel all the way down until the bifurcation. And here's an example here. Here's aorta, anterior cava. We're continuing to follow it down. You know, since it's a little more superficial, we're going to have to apply more transducer pressure to deal with this down gas so we don't lose visualization of the aorta. Keep following it down, and there we are at the bifurcation. And this is the transverse aorta exam. So what's the normal aorta going to look like? The normal aorta is going to have a diameter less than 2.5 centimeters, and it should have an anechoic lumen. Here you can see a normal aorta in the sagittal plane and a normal aorta in the transverse plane. To measure the aorta in the transverse plane, make sure that you're perpendicular to the aorta. If you are at an oblique angle, you're going to overestimate the size. So make sure that you're at a perpendicular angle, and you measure from outer wall to outer wall. When you measure in the sagittal plane, you also want to measure from outer wall to outer wall. And it's important when you do the sagittal measurement that you're as close to the mid portion of the vessel as possible, because if you're off to the side here and you're sidewalling the vessel, you're going to underestimate the overall diameter of the vessel. What's a AAA going to look like? It's going to be an abdominal aorta that has a diameter that's greater than 3 centimeters. Here you can see on the sagittal image that the aorta measures 4.69 centimeters. Here you can see this level transversely that it measures approximately 5 centimeters in the AP and the transverse planes. Secondary findings include the presence of neurothrombus, but this has no bearing on whether or not there's rupture present or not. Both of these are patients who had ruptured AAAs. This AAA has a large amount of neurothrombus within it, and this AAA has essentially no neurothrombus within it. So this is a patient who had a crack in the parietal lumen right here and was hypotensive on arrival. The abdominal aorta is clearly greater than 3 centimeters in diameter, and here you've got this aorta that has a large amount of neurothrombus, but the mainstay of the diagnosis is going to be a diameter greater than 3 centimeters. Most abdominal aortic aneurysms are going to have a fusiform shape, meaning that there's a gentle transition from the normal aorta to the aneurysmal portion of the aorta. And here you can see this is an infrarenal AAA. Here you've got the SMA, about 2 centimeters here. Below that takeoff point, you still do not have evidence of a AAA, but as we scan more caudally, you can see that there's a gentle transition into the aneurysmal part. So this is a patient that had a fusiform aneurysm. This is a patient that had a scapular aneurysm. You can see on the scapular view that the aorta goes from a relatively normal diameter to quickly become aneurysmal. These are ones that have a tendency to rupture at a smaller size because there's greater tension on the wall at these transition points. But we do have Doppler on the aorta. On this clip here, this is not an essential part of the diagnosis. You can see that the aneurysm goes from relatively normal dimension to quickly becoming aneurysmal. The next thing we need to look at is where is the AAA? Is it above the renals, at the level of the renals, or below the level of the renals? Over 90% are going to be infrarenal. This is an important point for the vascular surgeon since their approaches are going to be different for one that is suprarenal versus infrarenal. So if we can help them out with that information, that's a big plus. What are the predictors for rupture of the AAA? Well, let's start getting to a diameter of about 5.5 to 6 centimeters. Your risk of rupture dramatically increases. If you've got somebody whose aneurysm is being followed and there's a rapid rate of expansion, that's also another risk for rupture. Some studies show that the presence of thrombus increases the risk of enlargement and rupture. So when a patient comes in who's symptomatic, you can't use the absence of neurothrombus to say, oh, there's no rupture here. It's a predictor, but in the acute setting, it's not going to play a role in your decision-making. And specifically, the risk of rupture is going to be greater in women than men. 5% of patients that came in, there's direct evidence of aortic rupture. You can see here the wall is kind of bowing in on the side there. You can also see that there's a crack in the parietal lumen, and this is a large amount of retroperitoneal hemorrhage here. You can see here where the wall is kind of bowing in. This is a crack in the parietal lumen here, and blood is rapidly filling into the retroperitoneal space in this patient. So while the sensitivity for direct detection of rupture is poor, it's not impossible, and this is something you want to train yourself to look for. Here's another patient with direct evidence of rupture. You can see there's a crack in the parietal lumen. You can see the blood pouring out into the retroperitoneal space. So the presence of retroperitoneal a crack in the parietal lumen, or the presence of hemoperitoneum are all findings that are suggestive or that will help you in making the diagnosis of an aortic rupture. I believe that when you're looking for retroperitoneal fluid, the best place to look for it is going to be in the flank areas. So basically what you do on a trauma exam, looking at the perihepatic and perisplenic windows. Here's that patient who has a ruptured AAA. You can see, here's the kidney, here's the liver. Here you can see that there's fluid between the true capsule of the kidney and tuberous fascia. You can also see that there's evidence of hemoperitoneum. So it's not uncommon for these people to have hemoperitoneum. These patients get tears in the retroperitoneum and fill the peritoneal cavity. Once the hemoperitoneum has small leaks into the peritoneal cavity, if there's a management tear, these people need to bleed out very quickly and are not resuscitatable. So this is a ruptured AAA. But where this is evidence in the peritoneal region of retroperitoneal hematoma, it was much easier to see it in the area of the perihepatic and perisplenic windows. There's an example here of a patient who had approximately 3.5 centimeter abdominal aortic aneurysm, which you can see here right lower quadrant.
IC カードご使用の場合
As being the road here, and think of the endometrial area here as being the yard. And you can see here, this is where the homes are built, that there's some border between the road here, and there's also going to be a border here looking at these as being the backyard here, and the endometrial border. So remember, it's important to assess where the pregnancy is implanted. And here you can see, endometrial stripe, that's the road, here's the endometrium, here's where the houses are. They're not out here in the myometrium, they're not very close to the edge here, and you'll see a little bit as to why that's important, but really take a look at where the pregnancy is implanted, because that's a key thing.